Sunday. Hello, CKUA. My name is John from Dawson, not Dawson Creek, Dawson City. This is Nitpick to the right of me, and this is Charles to the left. Now, I said halo on my head, but I can't feel it. Halo on my head, but I can't see it. Halo on my head, but I don't need it. I got angels on my shoulders that keep whispering these dreams. Said halo on my head, but I can't feel it. Halo on my head, but I can't see it. Halo on my head, but I don't need it. I got angels on my shoulders that keep whispering these dreams. I got sentimental messages so you can never bring me down. Stuck in my mental, feel a demon when I let it down. I will be the crazy one if I just never make a sound. I will be the crazy one if I just never leave this town. Walk with the meaning, talk like I'm dreaming. Spark for a minute, then I'm leaving for an hour. I just couldn't live unless I'm climbing up a tower. Shout out to my missus, she was sweet, I turned her sour. Sorry, I'm a coward. I was trying to fix me. Never ending battle, and the point I think I miss. See, you're the only reason. Pour my heart into these lyrics. Your emotion made me break a mirror. Said your eyes made me think more clearer. Think I fear her. At least the thought that I might never see her. Spent 3 years getting better for her. Feels like torture. Where's our future? I think it's in my imagination. That's what she told me. My shoes are holy. They represent my soul. I pay the treble toll. I keep the bass full. I'm faithful even if I don't say so. A halo on my head, but I can't feel it, boy. Halo on my head, but I can't see it, boy. Halo on my head, but I don't need it. I got angels on my shoulders that keep whispering these dreams. Say halo on my head, but I can't feel it. Halo on my head, but I can't see it. Halo on my head, but I don't need it. I got angels on my shoulders that keep whispering these dreams. Crazy mother bastard, seems so passive when it come disasters. I make projects from the blood of plastics, yes, from the blood of fakes. Opposite to those opaque, I can see right through you, and that means this meaning flies through too. In one ear and out the other, knowledge slipping out like butter. Better for the solid-headed one. You bet you might regret it. Cut the bullshit. I'm not taking it now. I'm on a border for my life to make my family proud. Now tell me if these words related, faded late, so never graded, never got the time of day to tell you how we could have made it. Real and hard assassin, face your fears, I hide your passion, absolute until get blasted, passing out then reenacted. That's my old life when I didn't know that. The power of my words and how to hone that. Let me get my home back in my dreams, cause I don't need it. I can't see a leader till I be it, not yet. Like, no shot, bro, you never been in no fight, no fight. Cause your limits clearly stated on your forehead. Go get, never always been a go-getter. Better than the average overage cheddar rappers. Paper with the pen feels more dapper when I'm giving money to an artist. I feel limitless as I've written this. You know, I was in my head where no one else is. Louder than most mouses. I got halo on my head, but I can't feel it. Halo on my head, but I can't see it. Sing it. Halo on my head, but I don't need it. I got angels on my shoulders that bed. On my head, but I can't feel it. Halo on my head, but I can't see it, boy. Halo on my head, but I don't need it. I got angels on my shoulders that keep whispering these dreams.
Nice.
So, John, through your music, you are a proud ambassador for Dawson City. I mean, you're literally John from Dawson.
Heck yeah.
Not Dawson Creek. But you actually grew up near Dawson in an off-the-grid cabin.
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah. So what were those years growing up in the cabin like?
You did your research, or I probably just sent that, actually. It was awesome. I mean, I don't know. I think it taught me a lot about hard work, for sure. Like, yeah, we grew up in a cabin, like no power, no plumbing. Like, if we wanted to watch a VHS movie, like we'd have to start the generator. And yeah, I mean, it's just constant chores. And I got homeschooled for a long time, too. So I think it really kind of like, it pushes your brain outside of the box a little bit, and I don't think I'd be doing what I'm doing now if it wasn't for like the way I started my life, for sure.
And do you maybe want to introduce the two guys you got with you today, and then maybe all three of you could kind of tell us a bit about how you got into music?
Yeah, totally. So, hailing from, originally Winnipeg, but growing up in Haines Junction, which is even a smaller town than Dawson. This is Nitpick here. He's the producer of all the beats that you've been hearing, and he's a great friend.
Hello.
How'd you get into music?
My dad was became the music teacher when we moved to Haines Junction. Also like English and drama and stuff, but it was just pretty inescapable. I got him to teach me like the basics of like ukulele. Basically like nagged him to learn it and then teach me, and then kind of moved on to guitar and then beat making, and then now John.
And is that why you're playing ukulele in at least one of John's music videos?
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool.
I also gotta say though, like meeting Nitpick, I made music for like a couple years before I met him, and I was making my own beats. And then as soon as I met him, I like quickly went to not making beats anymore because he's amazing. But he also his like history and his like culture with hip hop is like so like prominent that as soon as I started working with him, he was just like, you need to learn about this, like, and he taught me a lot of.
You gotta do your homework.
A lot of that, yeah. Do your homework, and so I've like he's definitely stepped me up a whole notch just from that side. Yeah. To the left of me here is Mr. Everything, Charles Hegstead. He is our DJ, but also so much more. Charles, how did you get into music?
Well, it's kind of interesting that the three of us ended up sitting together because like we're all from rural areas, and like John's from like near Dawson, but like I grew up actually even more off the grid than these two. Was also homeschooled, and just kind of when I did eventually go to town and start going to school, it was just always kind of like, where do I fit in? Like I've had this upbringing of like just you got to really kind of figure out how to keep yourself occupied when you're in the woods, and it's really a life of imagination, I think, and a lot of hard work and stuff too, but you really got to entertain yourself and just kind of you're in your head a lot, I think. And so when I moved to town, I just gravitated towards that art scene, and John's just such a shining example of like someone who brings community together and all these different ways, and we ended up becoming roommates, and we have a little studio upstairs and stuff, and just all kinds of weird projects are always popping up in Whitehorse, and it's fun to just network and be a part of it.
Yeah. Also, just as like another little like behind the scenes thing, the guitar player of Major Funk is also one of my roommates. So there's like
True.
There's a lot. The community in the Yukon for music is very
Everybody
tight-knit.
seems to know basically everybody.
Yeah, super. In the music scene for sure. Yeah.
And I have a feeling, just based off of some of the samples that we heard from your DJ today, that you guys are probably gamers as well. Is that a safe assumption?
Yeah, totally.
And does like gaming and I guess like the art form of video games, does that ever kind of like bleed into your music or like influence that as well?
Well, I feel like it gets in there with some lyrics, I'm sure. Yeah,
I have a song about that, don't you?
What?
Life is a video game song.
Oh yeah, that's unreleased. Yeah, true. Yeah, actually, it's okay. Actually, yeah, that's a good point too. Thank God you're here. Like one of my big like kind of whatever philosophies or whatever in life is that like, and music was a big thing for this. Is that like, every day I just needed something to every day build and get better at, and so it's like. I kind of like look at myself as like a video game character in a sense, and every day like in Skyrim or whatever, like you can level up different attributes of yourself, and it doesn't always have to be just sneaking or whatever, or just you know what I mean, dual wielding. It can be like music, or it could be like cooking, and it's like every day you have something that you can actually get better at. So it's a reason to keep going to the next day.
You're just doing your live shows, rapping, and it's just rap 100.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I get it.
I'm glad. I'm glad
I've
you're on
played
the
my
same
fair share of
page.
Skyrim. I'm
That's sweet.
picking up what you're putting down.
That's so sweet. I'm glad you
Nice.
asked that question. That's awesome.
All right, cool. Well, and I mean, so with the fact you guys are all, from what I gather, roommates and all living together under one roof and kind of like collaborating and whatnot, do you have any like future projects you're wanting to work on together, or maybe currently working on that you can spill the beans on?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. These guys live together. I live with my parents.
We used to live together, though.
Yeah.
We've gone through stints.
So they have a little studio situation on like their top floor of their building, and I've got like a little garage studio situation carved out in my folk spot, and basically we have a lot of stuff in the works, like a lot of stuff that is just, we got our fingers in many pies, but we're not great at finishing making the pies, getting the pies out to people, feeding people.
The oven's broken. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it is. But it's gonna be fixed.
We got a lot of stuff in the works though, for sure.
Yeah. Me and Nippick, have like have a lot of like boom bap stuff that's like we're really excited about. If you guys saw the video that you guys just took, the All Good Man is a unreleased song, and that is gonna be followed by an album. Right now we're just searching, we're seeking funding for it. And we know that we also have to like, I'm doing a lot of research on like the music industry and how to actually promote stuff. And so we've got to do singles first. And so we're focusing on the singles right now, but we do have an album in the back pocket. Me and Charles as well. You haven't heard any of Charles's beats, but we are also working on, we want to get like some late night, like festival kind of like EDM inspired stuff. I don't know. You'd be able to talk about it better, but
Yeah, I'm a producer. I produce under the name Case 235, which is kind of some kind of more experimental, chiller stuff. But John's actually gonna be featuring on my upcoming album, as well as Hendrika. It's another Whitehorse-based, awesome, amazing artist.
super.
And so yeah, it's just a lot of experimentation. Like we, set up some drum machines, and then John will make weird noises on his laptop or freestyle or something, and we just try to come up with some different bits. But yeah, lots of fun to be had.
Yeah. So lots of stuff ready to release soon, and lots of stuff still cooking. So yeah, keep paying attention.
How long have you been here? I can't recall. Feels like forever, never at all. She laughed from the bedside, by now you should know. Love comes only in moments and returns below. Oh, only in moments, forever and never at all. No terms of surrender. I'm the I'm yours. I can give you a voice. You can take that to war. The curse of the lonely, it's all you abide. How the faces must carry what a stranger can find. Carry a moment forever and never at all. The muse in her shadow capsize the light. They'll open the heavens and leave you the night. How long have you been here? I can't recall. It feels like forever and never at all. Oh, feels like a moment forever and never at all.
Well, Declan, you seem to be strongly connected to the piano. When did your relationship with the piano begin?
Right in the beginning. I started really young. I was a kid. I was 5, I think, and we had piano in the house. And I come from a big family, and it was a good way to make noise and be noticed. So yeah, I started really young.
And people always want to seem to want to draw parallels between your music and that of other piano-driven singer-songwriters, from Harry Nilsson to Patrick Watson. Who are some of the artists that inspired you to become a songwriter and a performer yourself?
Those are lovely comparisons. I would say that early on, Randy Newman was a big one for me. Pre-Toy Story Randy Newman. And Tom Waits. But yeah, lots of stuff. I mean, I started playing ragtime. I come from the Yukon, and there's sort of a gold rushy, there's a lot of, one of my first jobs was at a vaudeville show. So ragtime, my first piano teacher taught me a lot of that stuff. Yeah, songwriters like, like Nina Simone is huge for me, or, weirder stuff like Captain Beefheart, and yeah, hopefully all over the place, but...
It's been said that a solo hiking trip helped to spark some of the ideas that wound up on your latest album, Amuck. Can you take us back to that particular hike?
Sure, because you've asked. Yeah, that's true. This was like the very early days. Well, I spent the summer of the first year of the pandemic on Vancouver Island. I ended up there unexpectedly so, and I got a van, and I just started driving out into the wilderness, and then I found some mushrooms and walked out to the coast and ate said mushrooms, and I had a tent, and I climbed into the tent with a pair of headphones thinking I was just going to have a nice inward-looking moment, and quickly became terrified and climbed out of the tent and climbed up a tree, sitting up in that tree on the branch in my underwear with a hatchet, with an axe, and I was very scared for a bit, thought there was bears everywhere, and then I calmed down and everything became beautiful, and I stared at the ocean, and I had a guitar, and I started writing songs, and I eventually hiked out of the where the beach was. It was like an hour hike or something, back to the van, and I climbed into the van, and as soon as I closed the door, this family of 3 bears followed me out of the trail that I'd just been walking down. So, so there was a hiking trip. I suppose the moral of that story is that just because you've had some mushrooms, it doesn't mean that there's not bears. But then I spent the rest of that summer on the island. I rented this house, and it had this purple piano in the basement. It was super, super weird and beautiful, and wrote weird songs. You know, it certainly, in retrospect, feels like it was a strange time in the world when I listened to that record. So.
And there seems to be like a strong literary influence on some of the songs on that album. Could you maybe take us through some of the books or writers that inspired you in the creation of those songs?
That's a tough question. What was I reading? My favorite book in the world, and I picked it up again at that time. The Favorites Game is a weird one, but one of my favorite books is Moby Dick. And sitting next to the ocean seemed like an appropriate time. I don't want to say that somehow pops up in the lyrics, although maybe it does, but I suppose I was feeling fairly grand. You know, what else could have been in there? I think, there was another book I was rereading was Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari, which is just this epic sort of brief history of mankind. Yeah, just light stuff, just real light, easygoing material. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a compliment, that sort of literary influence suggestion, so I'll take it as such, but I don't think I'm that smart. You know, maybe just pick up heavy books every once in a while.
So with touring all over and having also lived in a lot of big cities like Montreal and Toronto, what is it about Whitehorse that makes you want to call it home?
I was born there, and my mom's there. My mom is the main reason. That's the main answer to that question. It's beautiful, though. The Yukon's incredible. I was born there. I come from a big family. Lots of my brothers and sisters are still kicking around, old friends. It's a very strange and excellent music scene. It kind of punches above its weight in terms of like population and the amount of people there compared to the amount of just exceptional talent and songwriters and stuff. And the wilderness, you know, I think a lot of people have the need for an urban setting and then countered by somewhere rural. And I mean, in Whitehorse, you can drive 10, 15 minutes in any direction and you're in the middle of nowhere. And that's a lovely thing, especially if you're trying to write something or be creative, you know? So yeah, I spend a lot of time in other places. Montreal is particularly a second home, but the Yukon's certainly number one.
Totally. And I mean, this series that we've been doing with Music Yukon has kind of showed us that there's some incredible talent coming out of the Yukon. Do you think there's anything about that particular territory that is kind of, I guess, helping to foster this incredible creativity and artistry?
I think there's an aspect of because it's a smaller population, you have access to more. For one thing, there's a lot of support there. I mean, growing up, I remember being in an absolutely terrible band and getting not just hired, but paid. I was like, we don't belong. What are we doing here? But yeah, you have access to opportunity that's, I think, really exceptional. I think there's something sort of generational too, like my parents' generation and some of my friends, their parents were all these not entirely, but a lot of them were these like old hippies or like even draft dodgers and people that ran away to the Yukon. The Yukon's full of people that ran away from something else. But as a result, there's just this great artistic community, some of the older folks, some of the music teachers and things like that. So yeah, that's probably part of it.
There's a cage where I live, keep my dark thoughts in, tell my dumb jokes and I hide my feelings. From where I am I see you, but you're distant. Your walls and my walls stand between us. I start to wonder if you wouldn't like it. Come closer now than convenience allows. Not 'cause it's easy, not 'cause you're free to. Something you need and you feel it in me. Frame's made of steel and there's a mow around a heartache. You're scarred from the times when you tried to escape. Inside it's warm there, you let your voice soar. Let your heart wander and you let your eyes smile. Mine's made of staves from an old whiskey barrel. The cracks are all stuffed with torn pages of Bible. Inside it's cold and broken glass lines the floor. And piles of the bones of past loves block the door. There's a place where I've been, down to my skin. And all that surrounds me is the pain that I'm in. I'd like to meet you out there in the open, out in the place where the scars are all made. I'll wait for you there on the edge of the water, upon which sail ships bound for I don't know where. I'll wait for you there, hope you'll come find me, hope you'll sail with me, I don't know where.
My name's Caleb Tomlinson, and I'm a musician from Whitehorse, with the pleasure of being able to play with a band called the Perseids. It's a sort of a collective of up to 7 folks who join me for shows. Right now we're down in Edmonton for the Fringe Festival with 3 of us. And a while back, you relocated from California's Bay Area to the Yukon village of Mayo, population 200. What brought about that move? I was going to school in California, and I wanted to move back to Canada, and I wanted to go somewhere further north, like the type of place I would go when I was traveling. I travel most winters from the time I was out of high school till I was in my just like close to 30 years old, I guess, and it just seemed like the type of place that I would want to go check out if I was exploring a new country. So yeah. And you also spent a couple of decades working and studying forests and specifically forest protection. How does that side of your life inspire you musically? I think in a lot of ways. Like it's I worked in forest fire management from the time I was 16 until, I mean, I still do, I guess, in some ways, is like more doing like community protection stuff. But I think like the actual like being out on the landscape stuff, like being out and seeing the sort of forces of nature and such, were really had a pretty profound impact. And then also, a lot of the songs are like about cycles and about change and about sort of growth, renewal, destruction, those sorts of things. And I think a lot of that ties really like closely into the way I've learned about how ecosystems work through disturbances like fires.
And you've got a record out right now called Solstice. And how does the concept of the solstice, it being both summer and winter, maybe relate to your experience of living in the north?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a similar, that there's this like contrast, and it's there's this sort of balance, but it's kind of an extreme. The weights are at the very far ends of the scale, keeping themselves in balance, and it's dark and cold in the winter, but there's tremendous community and especially an amazing music community. And in the summers, I think far less kind of community centric, but really like possibilities for close connection with the land, and just being outside and gaining experiences that way.
And from what I gather, you've been doing music in one way or another basically ever since you were a kid.
Yeah.
But since you began living in the Yukon, you've kind of taken songwriting and recording side of things to like a whole other level. What is it about the community up north that's made that creative growth possible for you?
Good question. I think that there's just such a strong community around it, and I think that that's something. When I moved to Whitehorse, after I lived in communities in the Yukon for my first 5 years in the Yukon, and I think moving to Whitehorse, it just was sort of how I fell into. I fell into this community, and then also really there are the supports from organizations like through the Yukon government, also through Music Yukon. There are opportunities that I think I don't know that I would have come across otherwise. Like there was a course a few years ago that Music Yukon put on called the Music Yukon Training Intensive for sort of emerging musicians, and that was like a catalyst, I think. The sort of formal training side and support that you can get, and that leads to opportunities. Playing little shows around the Yukon and communities that receive funding through different organizations, and so there's a lot of opportunity that I think is there that I don't know that I would have had elsewhere. But I do have to say I also did record music before moving to the Yukon in two different phases of my life. The first being when I was the first was when I was like 4 years old. My mom sent me these recordings recently of me singing Elvis songs when I was like 4 and 5 years old. And they're pretty wild. I was really giving it all I had. And then when I was in my early 20s, I was in a band that we recorded and toured and stuff as well. So but the Yukon's been a great sort of revival of that.
And I guess on the topic of music and the Yukon, like if you had to, how would you describe the music scene itself way up north?
I think it's eclectic to some degree. I think it's supportive, like incredibly supportive. I think that it's it kind of centers around. There's some themes for sure. Like there's like a really fun, quite small little like metal scene. I shouldn't say small. There's a metal scene. I think the biggest sort of sector seems to be some sort of country adjacent folk, maybe not like really like straight up country, but like some folk music for sure, and then some old time stuff. There's some really great old time players. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and there's also an amazing electronic music scene that I wish I liked the music more of, because the people are fantastic. The costumes are amazing. I love going to the parties, but I don't yet have it in me to I haven't learned to love the music yet. But it's okay.
And I guess before we let you go, is there anything that you're currently working on or that you're kind of excited to be heading towards in the near future regarding your music?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a few different things. There's writing. I've got enough songs now written to do another EP. I'm also still working on more stuff, so maybe a full length in the near future, maybe another EP. And then some getting out and playing more for opportunities like this, whether it's festivals or showcases. Band's going to Breakout West in late September, and then we are hoping to get out and tour a bit in British Columbia over the winter. And I'm trying to probably end up being solo or a duo going to the UK in January and February. So that's kind of it.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Caleb.
Thank you.
That's basically all the questions I have for you.
All right. Thanks for having us.